Good afternoon. I'm Dan DeRose coming to you from our digital desk. I want to update you on some breaking news we've been following this afternoon here on our digital platforms. You're seeing it for the first time before it hits our airwaves. We're talking about a house fire in Paynesville, and because of how brutally cold it is, there was a problem with fire hydrants freezing and being able to get water for this home. It's actually a house, a very large house that's been turned into an apartment or into several apartments. There were 11 people who lived throughout this home slash apartment that's been sectioned off. And there were 15 fire departments that needed to be called in to help that were hauling in water because of those frozen hydrants. We have updates now from a woman who lived in that space. We also have an update from the fire chief. The fire apparently starting on the porch on the outside on a porch of one of these homes. So they'll have to investigate how that happened and exactly how it started. But wanted to bring you some updates. Again, here are some of the pictures that we've been given from a viewer, Jeff Cook, of just how big this was. The major home is actually on the back side. It's not that white home you see there in the front. The house that was on fire was in the backyard, basically, of that white home you see. And again, initially 4 departments called in, but it took 15 to be able to fight this. Let's listen first to, unfortunately, a woman who got the call that her home was on fire.
So Sherry, walk me through what your day was like today, because it's been hectic to say the least.
Yes, it has. I was at work. I got a phone call from the neighbor saying that the house is on fire and she needs to get my dog out, and she did. She saved the dog.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yes.
Sounds like everyone else got out okay, too.
Yes. From my understanding, everybody is accounted for.
Okay, good to hear. Because there's a lot of people, it sounds like that house was kind of separated into 9 units, you were saying, so there's a lot of people that live in the house.
Yes, yes.
And do you have any indication on, like, how it started, what happened, anything like that?
I do not. Like I said, I got the call at work. She got my dog out, and I came home. I left work and came home.
Take me through that. What's it like getting a call like that?
It's very devastating and heartbreaking. Very, very heartbreaking, devastating to get that call. I'm just glad that everybody's okay and my dog got out okay, and so far so good right now.
And I mean, obviously it's a really bad fire. You can see I'm not an expert, but you can see how much damage just by looking at the house. You're here with a lot of people who live in the house. What's it like to have this much loss as a group?
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
As far as the fire department, have they said anything with you guys, communicated anything at all?
They have been communicating, telling us where we can go to warm up, and we're waiting on the Red Cross to get here to
cool.
get us a place to stay for the evening and get us situated.
Good to know, good to know.
Yes, it is.
Is there anything else you'd like to add here?
It's just nice to have a community and people that live in your building come together under these circumstances and be there for each other.
Okay. And is your dog here right now?
She is warm in an apartment, yes.
So there you go, a major fire impacting at least 11 people who lived in this home that had been converted into apartments. Obviously very big if it was converted into 9 different units. This is in the 200 block of Menor Avenue in Paynesville. Let's listen to the fire chief's update. Again, originally 4 departments called in, but it took 15 different fire departments because of the weather conditions and the frozen fire hydrants just trying to get water on this massive blaze.
Today at 11 o'clock on the dot, our fire department received a report of a possible outside fire at this location, 205 Menor Avenue. When our officer in charge arrived at the scene, he saw an outside fire extending from a ground floor porch up the outside of the house, and the attic was fully involved on his arrival. He immediately dropped a Mavis alarm, which is a box alarm for extra help. We have initially 4 other departments that respond with us on our fire calls, and we've since gone to 3 alarms on that box alarm. Currently, we have approximately 15 fire departments here at the scene. We are still working to extinguish the fire. We have it under control, but we are working to put out hot spots and determine that we have the fire completely out. There were no injuries. The fire displaced 11 residents in the building. It's an apartment building. Everyone is safe. There were no firefighter injuries either. So at this time, we do not have a cause or an estimate of damage. It'll be too early. I will have a press release out probably tomorrow with all that information. I don't have anything at this time.
Do you believe it started in that porch area?
We're going to assume that at this point until the investigation's complete. We don't know for sure at this point.
And that's on like a back corner?
It was on the left-hand side of the building somewhere.
I know there were a lot of pets in the building as well. Do you know, did all the pets get out?
We have not confirmed that at this time. We do know that there are some missing pets. We are not sure quantity or type at this time, but we are working on that as we get the fire under control.
Talk about what these conditions were like out here today.
Well, it obviously very cold today. Our units encountered several frozen fire hydrants in the process of getting water to the scene. As you can see in the background, there's a lot of hose on the ground. We're flowing upwards of 3,000 gallons a minute at certain points during this fire. So we accessed 4 different fire hydrants in the area, and we're going to get ready to start picking some of that up now as we scale down the event.
What role do those frozen hydrants play?
Well, it makes it longer for us to get water to the fire. Our initial fire engine brings 1,000 gallons of water, and so that's gone in a minute or two. And then if we don't have a hydrant established, then we are out of water till that happens. So every hydrant we hit that's frozen, we have to go further away. Makes it harder to get the water back to the fire scene.
You know, the houses in this area, a lot of older houses as well. Does that play a factor when you're fighting a fire if it's an older house?
It does, and houses like this one that we're on fire today it's a very old home. I believe it's a century home, and it was broken up into several apartments, and that creates a lot of void spaces and concealed areas for the fire to travel that we can't always see, and that does make our job a little more difficult. They tend not to collapse as much, but they do burn a lot longer because of that reason.
Did the fire appear to just go up and then run across the roof and attic?
That would be a guess at this point. Like I said, until my investigation's complete, I'm not sure how that happened. But that very well could have. It was an outside fire that got in the wall. In an older home, the walls are kind of like chimneys. They're open from top to bottom, and the fire can travel through those spaces and go right to the attic.
Where is most of your fire damage in the house itself?
I haven't been inside, but what I'm looking at, the roof is completely burned off. There's a smaller apartment attachment on the back of the house that's about 50% burned off, and so most of the damage is in the upper half of the units.
Have you been able to reach the owner of the building?
I'm sorry?
Have you been able to reach the owner?
The owner is on scene. Yes.
Talk a little bit. You can see some sort of marker or plaque on the front of this house.
Yes, it is a heritage. It is a heritage home, which is in the historic district of the city, and so it meets certain requirements for historical. And I don't have a good handle on that.
How long have you been here?
I've been a firefighter here for 30 years and chief for 6.
How big of a landmark is this house in this community?
This, like many of the other houses in this area, are very nice landmarks because they're well maintained, and they are, they're nice landmark houses, and it is unfortunate when something like this happens.
Were people home at the time of this?
I believe there were occupants in the apartments, yes.
But everybody was able to get out?
Everyone got out safe.
Did you have to rescue anybody, or everyone got out?
No rescues were needed to be performed. Our firefighting effort was initially what we call an offensive attack, which we applied a little water to the outside and then took hose lines inside to try and put the fire out. We had to pull out because of the amount of fire and go into a defensive mode, which is what you see with the aerial ladders in play and putting water in through the top.
Is that because of fear of collapse?
Yes, it's too dangerous for firefighters to be inside because things are falling. And so we change our method of attack and go to a safer, and we can put more water on the fire quicker that way.
Do you have any idea what people were doing on that porch prior?
No, I do not.
Does any of this appear to be related to the weather?
I don't know. I can't give you any ideas until we complete our investigation. I don't have any idea.
And so there you go, the chief for Paynesville Fire Department there, and just some of the incredible things that he said because of those frozen hydrants. When they show up to a scene, they show up, I believe he said, with about 1,000 gallons of water, and they will go through that within the first minute or two. And because they couldn't hook up to a fire hydrant, that fire was able to spread, get into that 100-year-old home. And because it's been sectioned off for different apartments, it has different ways the fire can get in and around and then up to the roof. So it is going to be a major, probably a major, if not a total loss, major destruction to that home in Paynesville that was apparently on the historic registry because it was so old. And the frozen fire hydrants really is half the story there. You've got 11 residents, 11 people who live in that apartment building / home. They're now without a place to live. The second side of that story is just how the cold impacted the fire hydrants and the ability to get that fire out and maybe save at least a portion of that building. Again, a few of the pictures that came out as it was being fought from viewer Jeff Cook that sent these in. Just incredible pictures, the amount of smoke that could be seen for a couple of miles. And really just severe firefighting conditions out there as it is going to be for the next few days. Think about on Monday and Tuesday when the forecasted high temperature is 3 and 5 degrees. It's not going to be helping out these situations. We have 3.5 hours of news and weather coming up at 3 o'clock on Channel 19. We'll have an update, a live update to this Paynesville fire, as well as what can be a dangerous, dangerous forecast in the first part of next week. Until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News. Have a good afternoon.
19 News is everywhere. Download our CTV app.